Welcome to SS2 Biology, Term 1, Week 5. Today we study the endocrine system, the body's chemical communication network. While the nervous system uses electrical impulses to send messages at high speed, the endocrine system uses chemical messengers called hormones carried in the bloodstream. Hormones are produced by ductless glands called endocrine glands. Because they travel through the blood, hormones can reach every cell in the body, but they only affect target cells, cells that have specific receptors for that hormone. The effects of hormones are generally slower to begin but longer lasting than nerve impulses. For example, the changes that occur during puberty, deepening of the voice, growth of body hair, development of the reproductive organs, are all controlled by hormones and take months to years to unfold. The endocrine system works together with the nervous system to maintain homeostasis, ensuring the internal environment of the body remains stable. Let us review the major endocrine glands. The pituitary gland, located at the base of the brain, is called the master gland because its hormones control many other endocrine glands. It produces growth hormone, which stimulates growth of bones and muscles, ADH, which regulates water reabsorption in the kidney, FSH and LH, which control the reproductive cycle, and prolactin, which stimulates milk production. The thyroid gland in the neck produces thyroxine, which controls metabolic rate. Too much thyroxine causes hyperthyroidism, the person becomes hyperactive, loses weight, and may develop a swelling of the neck called goiter. Too little causes hypothyroidism, the person becomes sluggish and gains weight. The adrenal glands sit on top of the kidneys. The adrenal medulla produces adrenaline, the fight-or-flight hormone, which increases heart rate, dilates airways, and releases glucose from the liver. The adrenal cortex produces cortisol, which helps the body respond to stress, and aldosterone, which regulates salt balance. The pancreas produces insulin and glucagon, which regulate blood glucose levels. Blood glucose regulation is one of the most important examples of hormonal control and homeostasis, and it is frequently tested in WAEC. After you eat a meal containing carbohydrates, blood glucose levels rise. The beta cells of the islets of Langerhans in the pancreas detect this rise and release insulin into the blood. Insulin causes liver and muscle cells to take up glucose and convert it to glycogen for storage, a process called glycogenesis. As blood glucose falls back to normal, insulin secretion decreases. If blood glucose falls too low, for example after prolonged exercise or fasting, the alpha cells of the islets of Langerhans release glucagon. Glucagon stimulates the liver to break down glycogen back into glucose and release it into the blood, a process called glycogenolysis. This raises blood glucose back to normal levels. This push-pull relationship between insulin and glucagon is a classic example of negative feedback. In diabetes mellitus, this regulation breaks down. In type 1 diabetes, the beta cells are destroyed and no insulin is produced. In type 2 diabetes, cells become resistant to insulin. Other important hormones include the sex hormones. In males, the testes produce testosterone, which controls development of male secondary sexual characteristics such as facial hair, deepened voice, and muscle development, as well as sperm production. In females, the ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone, which control the menstrual cycle, development of female secondary characteristics, and maintenance of pregnancy. In plants, auxins are plant hormones that control growth and tropisms. Gibberellins promote stem elongation and seed germination. For your WAEC examination, construct a table listing each endocrine gland, its hormone, and its function. This is the most efficient way to memorize this topic. Be especially prepared to explain the regulation of blood glucose with insulin and glucagon, including the role of negative feedback. Know the effects of over- and undersecretion of thyroxine and growth hormone. These are high-yield WAEC topics.